Chairman, CII, Southern Gujarat Zonal Council, and Director, OrgoCam Gujarat Private Limited, to deliver the address. And may I invite all the dignitaries to join us on the dais. Chairman, Jnpa. The Deputy Chairman, Jnpa, will be joining us in a few minutes. Shri Nitin Borwankar, Chief Executive Officer, Jnpa SEZ. Mr. Paras Mehta. Mr. Ravindra Arya. I request Mr. Paras Mehta to address the August gathering.
Respected Mr. Sanjay Sethi, IAS Chairman JNPA, Mr. Nitin Borwankar, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Unmesh Wagh, IRS Deputy Chairman JNPA, Mr. Ravindra Arya, past Chairman CII South Gujarat Zone and Chairman and Managing Director Bindal Silk Mills, Mr. Ashish Jagrawat, Consultant JNPA SEZ, Mr. Himanshu Bhai Bodawala, President South Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Vishal Budia, Vice Chairman CII South Gujarat Zone and Managing Director Steam House Limited, friends from trade and industry, stakeholders from industries and JNPA, delegates of the conclave. A very good morning to all of you. It is my pleasure to welcome you all at the inaugural session of the Jnpa SEZ Investor Conclave 2022. It feels great to see you all at this proactive initiative organized by Government of India undertaking to apprise us about their world-class offering, Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority Special Economic Zone, the Jnpa SEZ. India has a rich maritime heritage, and earliest reference to maritime activities is contained in the Rig Veda. Indians took to the sea for trade and commerce rather than for political motives. Indian mythology has numerous episodes pertaining to the ocean, the sea, the river, and believe that mankind has benefited from the wealth of seas and ocean. Located strategically on the world's shipping routes with the coastline of approximately 7,500 kilometers, about 70% of India's trading in value terms is attributed to being handled by the maritime transport. Thus, as a nation, we have a rich legacy of wisdom with immense potential to capitalize on available maritime prowess. Indian industry now has the honors to utilize the mediums available at our disposal to further strengthen our position in the international trade ecosystem. We are all aware that the tactical changes that the world is witnessing has a complex socio-political and economical dimension. This has created a unique position and unique opportunity for India. Also, we are celebrating our Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and our time to further cement our position as a global logistic hub has arrived. It is therefore imperative to develop an integrated and comprehensive plan for port-led industrialization, which combines with the growth potential of our industries with the competitive locations across our Indian coastline. Apart from reducing the overall logistics cost, port-led industrialization shall incentivize the industry and enable ease of doing business. Initiatives like Sagarmala and the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan are some of the forward-looking initiatives launched by Government of India, are some of the credible steps in this direction. A well-coordinated action plan that aligns well with this initiative is bound to accentuate our global presence by facilitating the industry to harness the strategic vantage points. As per the Cambridge historian Angus Maddison, in 1700, India had an income share of 22.6%. After the British Raj, it was abysmally low at 3.8% in 1952. We are now at 7.2% of the world GDP. With such progressive projects, there is not an iota of doubt in achieving the dream of India being global economic leader again. Since its inception in 1989, Jnpa, which was then called JNPT, has provided a plethora of connectivity and logistics support to industry. It has played a pivotal role in strengthening India's position in global trade. The Jnpa has been rated as the best performing port as per the latest Logistics Performance Index report due to its consistency in reducing logistics cost, building world-class infrastructure, and offering world-class services to the EXIM community. In line with its leadership position, Jnpa is playing a pivotal role in realizing the holistic objectives as envisioned under PM Gati Shakti initiatives and the port connectivity pillar of Sagarmala. Creating Jnpa SEZ is one more of such promising endeavor. Jnpa SEZ is India's first port-based, multi-sector, operational special economic zone embedded with futuristic facilities. It has unique value proposition that keeps ease of doing business at the core by offering single window clearance, excellent amenities, skilled manpower, amongst other features. Located near the financial capital of country, Mumbai, it offers unmatched connectivity to the industrial hubs of Maharashtra and the Indian hinterland with promising access to the global markets. As we speak, all statutory compliance for setting up the SEZ are in place. This includes formal approval by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Government of Maharashtra's Special Planning Authority, environmental clearance from Government of India, Maharashtra Pollution Control Board clearance, etc. Jnpa has independent development control and promotion regulation sanctioned by the Government of Maharashtra. It also has a very transparent and paperless process of e-tendering and e-auction. Thus, Jnpa SEZ offers unmatched growth proposition that has a potential to offer competitive edge to Indian industry by providing improved infrastructure to conduct trade in the world in a conducive environment. CII has always been at the forefront of reforms and has worked tirelessly with a diverse range of stakeholders to facilitate inclusive growth. CII strongly believes that partnership and cooperation between industry, government, and civil society is the key to economic and social development of India. CII has undertaken policy advocacy measures for resolving SEZ-related issues, including improving infrastructure in existing SEZs and promoting ease of doing business. Considering this significance, CII Western Region is pleased to support Jnpa SEZ Investor Conclave, a quest that intends to showcase the offerings of the project to the industry. The format of Conclave will enable us, the attendees, to have a thorough overview of the exceptional benefits of Jnpa SEZ. We consider that Investor Conclave is an open-hearted approach adopted by the management of Jnpa SEZ to interact with industry captains for their understanding their requirements and resolving ambiguities and addressing the concern. We are sure that this inclusive step will forge partnership that will set new benchmarks in the era of port-led industrialization. This investor conclave will catalyze the process of creating a mutually beneficial ecosystem in the form of Jnpa SEZ that will underscore the importance of well-calibrated approach for augmenting India's footprint in the global trade and industry. With firm belief that the proceedings of this conclave will be of immense value to all the participants, I hereby conclude my address. I shall now like to welcome Mr. Nitin Borwankar, Chief Executive Officer, Jnpa, to deliver his address. Thank you.
Good morning and very good namaste to you all. On behalf of Jnpa Chairman Shri Sanjay Sethi ji, Deputy Chairman Unmesh Wagh ji, who is going to come within his attending some meeting, we welcome you all to this conclave. We had one conclave in Mumbai, and we thought that Gujarat being an industrial hub, we should come to Surat. So before we start, we feel that we'll show a small film, and I'm very happy that Mr. Paras Mehta really knew so much of JNPT that he has spoken more or less what we have to speak. So I thought it's better because CII is connected with JNP and he knows so much. So whatever said and done, we will just show you small films so that you will understand what JNPA and JNPA SEZ is. Can you start the movie, please, the film?
The premier container handling port in India, connected to over 200 ports globally. Ranked amongst the best container ports globally, we are proud to be the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority. Over the past 3 decades, since its inception in 1989, we have been an integral part of India's port-led growth narrative. We have expanded its infrastructure and services to match global standards. It is this very commitment of ours that has led us to launch several ease of doing business initiatives for the EXIM trade. Within a very short span, the world is already witnessing the effect. In the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index, under the Trading Across Borders segment, JNPA has been credited for bettering India's position. Guided by the ministry with the primary aim of improving logistic costs and time efficiency for our EXIM community stakeholders, we have undertaken a methodical, 3-pronged approach. Simplification of processes, improvement of infrastructure, and digitization of activities. All 3 have helped us achieve the results India needed. Expansive operations call for simpler, seamless processes, and we at JNPA are constantly working on these. Our most successful endeavors include simplification of processes, direct port delivery. Direct port delivery creates a smooth gateway for our importers. It reduces the cost and expedites their delivery of consignment. Direct port entry. Direct port entry ensures unindentured entry to the port for exporters. JNPA has dedicated a new centralized parking plaza that is the largest of its kind in India. This has helped streamline traffic movement, improved port efficiency, and take care of our valuable servicemen. Inter-terminal transfers of tractor-trailers. Inter-terminal movement of tractor-trailers allows sideways movement between all the 4 terminals. The ITRHO Agreement. The ITRHO Agreement ensures streamlined movement of rail containers between the terminals and the installation of mobile scanners. Time, cost and efficiency is always on JNPA's mind, which is why JNPA has installed scanners at all terminals. This significantly reduces import dwell time. Improvement of infrastructure. The ever-growing demand of EXIM trade calls for a robust infrastructure. Besides CPP, we have undertaken other initiatives. Upgrading connectivity and cater to future traffic by systematic widening of port highways, development of integrated common rail yard facility, allotment of land and office space of partnering government agencies in order to bring all the regulators under one roof. Jnpa has allotted space to animal quarantine, plant quarantine, textile commission, etc. Not to mention the commissioning of several ERTGCs across our terminals, with benefits such as faster loading operations, reduced diesel consumption and pollution, efficiency of container management, to name just a few. As we build our global presence and community, the need to innovate and digitize activities is our top priority. Digitization. From automated systems that reduce gate transaction time, to ensuring transit transparency via online tracking systems. From a secure single data platform for all stakeholders, to a state-of-the-art terminal operating system, Jnpa operates by world-class standards. And as we scale greater heights, we make sure our valuable stakeholders join us for the journey. Through our constant innovation, infrastructural upscale, and dedication to provide advanced, seamless services, we are the port of choice for our stakeholders. We are proud to be the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority.
थैंक यू। सेशन को आगे बढ़ाने से पहले जैसे एक छोटी सी फिल्म से हमने जेएनपीए क्या करता है वो दिखाया, एक छोटा सा प्रेजेंटेशन बनाना चाहते हैं जिससे आपको एसीजेड जो एक हम जेएनपीए डेवलप कर रहा है उसके बारे में भी और जेएनपी एज अ ओवरऑल एक छोटा सा प्रेजेंटेशन देना चाहते हैं। सो आई विल जस्ट स्टार्ट। जेएनपीए जैसे अभी बताया गया एंड जैसे मैंने पहले बोला, पारस साहब ने आधा तो बता ही दिया हमारे बारे में। 1989 में हमारा जन्म हुआ और बेसिकली ये बर्ड व्यू है जैसे आप जेएनपीए देखेंगे। यहाँ पे जितने भी टर्मिनल्स हैं आप देखेंगे ऑन द राइट साइड एब्सोल्युटली डीपी वर्ल्ड है जो हमारी 2 बर्ड चलाते हैं। जेएनपीसीटी जो 1989 में चालू हुआ वो हम चलाते थे, अभी तक तो हम चलाते हैं। और एपीएमटी टर्मिनल वो भी एक पीपीपी मॉडल पे जीटीआई चला रहा है। और सबसे जो नया टर्मिनल आया है जो पोर्ट ऑफ सिंगापुर अथॉरिटी चला रहे हैं वो आपसे लेफ्ट साइड में आप देखेंगे कि उनका जो फेज़ 1 है वो फेज़ 1 हो चुका है और फेज़ 2 अभी चालू हो चुका है। फेज़ 1 बिल्कुल कमीशन हो चुका है। इसके अलावा हम कंटेनर के अलावा लिक्विड कार्गो भी हैंडल करते हैं और आप देखेंगे कि कोस्टल बर्थ के आगे जो एक बीपीसीएल जेट्टी दिखती है वहाँ हम लिक्विड हैंडल करते हैं। जैसे कि हमारे पोर्ट में कंटेनर्स परफॉर्मेंस काफ़ी अच्छी है और वन ऑफ द बेस्ट इन इंडिया और हम वर्ल्ड से कॉम्पीट करते हैं। जहाँ तक कि लिक्विड की बात आती है वहाँ पे थोड़ा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हमारा कम था, इसलिए हमारे लिए हमने सोचा कि एक एडिशनल लिक्विड बर्थ बनाएं जिसका कंस्ट्रक्शन चालू है और कुछ ही सालों में ये कमीशन हो जाएगा। ये ओवरऑल एक मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पोर्ट्स सी एंड वाटरवेज चाहती है कि हम लैंडलॉर्ड बने और अंडर द लीडरशिप ऑफ आवर चेयरमैन श्री संजय सेठी वी आर वेरी प्राउड टू से दैट वी आर द फर्स्ट पोर्ट which are going for 100% लैंडलॉर्ड। जो जेएनपीसीटी टर्मिनल अभी तक हम अभी भी चला रहे हैं वो अभी हमने पीपीपी पे एक कंसेशन एग्रीमेंट विद सीएमए सीजीएम जेएम बख्शी कंसोर्शियम के साथ साइन किया है 29 को। और जो कोस्टल बर्थ और शैलो वाटर बर्थ इसका भी आरएफक्यू एंड आरएफपी हमने रिसीव किया है और अंडर प्रोसेस है। ये हमारी ग्रोथ है 1989 से हमारी 2021-22 तक क्या ग्रोथ रही है। इसमें सबसे बड़ा जो महत्वपूर्ण जो दौरा रहा है कि कोविड के पीरियड में आपने सुना होगा कि जेएनपीए पोर्ट यही ऐसा पोर्ट था जो बिल्कुल भी कंजेस्टेड नहीं था। Around the world, even China, were having a problem. But as far as India was concerned, Jnpa was the only port where no congestion was there. Behind this, there's a lot of hard work with the complete team works, and we were credited for this. ये ऑलरेडी बताया जा चुका है कि हमारे जो चेयरमैन साहब हैं उनका एक ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में उन्होंने 3 वर्टिकल्स हम लोग को दिए हैं, जिसमें सबसे पहला है कि इम्प्रूवमेंट ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. सो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए हम काफ़ी कुछ कर रहे हैं. जैसे अभी मैंने बताया BMCTPL का जो सेकेंड फेस है वो चालू हो गया है. कोस्टल बर्थ हमने बना दी है. लिक्विड टर्मिनल जो हम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हम खुद इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, मे बी फ्यूचर में ऑपरेशंस विल बी आउटसोर्स्ड. तो वो जून 2023 तक कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. DFC कंप्लायंट होना था, इसलिए हमने खुद अपने पोर्ट के अंदर DFC कंप्लायंट कर दिया है. वी आर ऑल्सो गोइंग आउट ऑफ द पोर्ट विच इज़ ड्राई पोर्ट एट जालना एंड वर्धा. सेंट्रलाइज पार्किंग प्लाजा एक नया कंसेप्ट था जो आज तक इंडिया में या भारत में हुआ नहीं है, लेकिन ये सेंट्रलाइज पार्किंग प्लाजा जो बना है उसके लिए एक जो ये नया कंसेप्ट है, इससे ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में जो एक्सपोर्ट कंटेनर्स जाते हैं उनका जो ड्वेल टाइम था वो काफ़ी रिड्यूस हुआ है. पूरा सिंप्लीफिकेशन ऑफ प्रोसेस वहीं के वहीं हो जाता है, सो दैट एक्सपोर्ट गोज वेरी स्मूथली. SEZ के बारे में हम बात करेंगे. इसके अलावा जो भी शख्स आज मुंबई से JNPT की तरफ आता है वो देखता है कि क्या था और क्या है. रोड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में our port has spent around 3,500 crores, which is a huge amount, which a port has invested on this just to make sure that एक कहानी चलती थी कुछ सालों पहले कि JNPA में कंजेशंस काफ़ी हैं और आज आप देखेंगे there is no congestion. So road has really worked in. रेल की कनेक्टिविटी पे हमने बताया है DFC आ रहा है. सिंप्लीफिकेशन प्रोसेसेस में DPD के परसेंटेज बढ़ रहे हैं. ITRHO एक बड़ा ही एक ऐसा प्रोसेस था जिसमें JNPA as an authority had to bring all the private terminals on one platform so that the trucks which are operating between the terminals becomes easy. Scanners लाए गए हैं, e-market place हुआ है और green channel for reefers भी create किया गया है. Digitization, yes, this is the main thing which more or less we are working on everything online. PCS 1X has come in. The forms which were manual has been converted into e-forms. So these are the 3 pillars on which we work and which makes us ease of doing business much better. ये ease of doing business से हुआ क्या? एक होता है, मैं हर समय सोचता था और हमारे चेयरमैन साहब हर समय बोलते थे कि क्लास में जो नंबर 1 आता था उसको आगे किया जाता है. सो जब भी कोई मिनिस्ट्री का कोई इशू होता है, देखा जाता है, तो JNPA को आगे किया जाता है. एंड वी आर वेरी प्राउड टू से दैट व्हेन वर्ल्ड बैंक वाज डूइंग बिजनेस रैंकिंग, JNPA was the only port where the people had come, seen everything, and they gave the ranking. And we are very proud to say that overall ranking देखी जाए या trading across the border देखा जाए, हमारी जो कहानी 2015 में थी और आज 2020 में जो लास्ट फिगर्स आए हैं उसमें काफ़ी हमने अच्छा किया है. हम कहते हैं कि हर एक आदमी खुद के बारे में बहुत अच्छा बोलता है, लेकिन एक प्राइवेट, एक इंडिपेंडेंट यदि आप देखें कि उन्होंने परफॉर्मेंस इंडेक्स को, पोर्ट और एयरपोर्ट्स दोनों को उन्होंने वेरियस पैरामीटर्स में, ये वेरियस पैरामीटर्स ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस के तो थे ही, एक सबसे बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट था कि इंटीग्रिटी आपकी पोर्ट की कितनी है. एंड वी आर वेरी प्राउड टू से दैट वी स्टोर्ड नंबर 1 एंड वी आर वेरी प्राउड ऑफ दिस. जहाँ तक वाइडनिंग ऑफ हाईवेज की मैंने बात की हुई है, जो भी मुंबई के हैं और जो भी आप हिंटरलैंड से आते हैं वो आज बोलते हैं कि आज रोड कनेक्टिविटी इतनी अच्छी है. एंड वेरी प्राउड टू से दैट फ्यू डेज बैक प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ मालदीव्स came by road and from Hotel Oberoi to JNPA it took hardly 1 hour. So that was wonderful, and the road infrastructure has really improved. ये हम दिखाना चाहते हैं कि DFC कैसे कनेक्ट हो रहा है. DFC हमारे यहाँ आई थिंक 2023 तक हो जाएगा, 2023-24 तक. सो ये ओवरऑल प्रोजेक्ट मैप है जो वेस्टर्न में हमारे यहाँ आने वाला है. सेंट्रलाइज पार्किंग प्लाजा, मैं ये बताना चाहूँगा, ये एक ऐसा प्लाजा है, अपार्ट फ्रॉम बिजनेस वी ऑल्सो टेक केयर. इफ़ यू सी देयर इज अ डॉर्मेट्री where the truck drivers can relax. We also hold, there was a medical checkup for the truck drivers. We take care of them also. So when the vaccination COVID time also, we had also taken, we had taken care of them. So this is a centralized parking plaza. We have invested around 163.93 crores. Now we come to real point where we have come over here कि जब हम एक कोई घर खरीदते हैं या अपनी प्रॉपर्टी खरीदते हैं तो सबसे बड़ी चीज़ होती है कि मैं कहाँ खरीदना चाह रहा हूँ, वो लोकेशन क्या है. और ये JNPA SEZ की जो लोकेशन है उसके बारे में मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि ये जो नवी मुंबई इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट है वो बिल्कुल पास में है. It's not very far, only 12 kilometers from SEZ. दूसरा है मुंबई ट्रांस हार्बर लिंक, जो साउथ बॉम्बे में लोग रहते हैं, जो साउथ बॉम्बे से बिजनेस चलता है, इट्स अ फाइनेंशियल हब. वहाँ से जो डिस्टेंस है वो 2023 में मुंबई ट्रांस हार्बर लिंक से बिल्कुल आधा हो जाएगा. मीन्स वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट फ्रॉम मुंबई टू JNPA इट विल बी हार्डली 35 मिनट्स. एक जो इन्वेस्टर आता है वो देखता है कि जो हमारे आदमी हैं वो ट्रैवल कैसे करेंगे. सो नेरूल उरण समन रेल लाइन इज अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन. दिस ऑल्सो विल बी कमीशन. उल्वे तक आ चुकी है विच इज कमीशन. पीपल आर ट्रैवलिंग. और उरण तक आनी कंस्ट्रक्शन इज गोइंग ऑन. विद इन 1 or 2 years दिस विल ऑल्सो कम इन. नेक्स्ट है विरार अलीबाग मल्टीमोडल कॉरिडोर. ये भी आ रहा है. एक जो इन्वेस्टर आ चुके हैं हमारे यहाँ वो काफ़ी बोलते हैं कि हमारे अधिकारी या हमारे वर्कर्स रहेंगे कहाँ. सो द्रोणागिरी सेक्टर, दिस इज़ अ रेसिडेंशियल सेक्टर वेयर लॉट ऑफ गुड बिल्डिंग्स आर कमिंग एंड देयर लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी दैट यू कैन, लॉट ऑफ बिल्डिंग्स आर कमिंग वेयर पीपल आर स्टेइंग एंड दिस इज़ अ रेसिडेंशियल एरिया वेयर पीपल कैन स्टे. एंड डेडिकेटेड फ्रेट कॉरिडोर वी हैव ऑलरेडी टॉक्ड अबाउट. JNPA SEZ के बारे में सिंस 6 यूनिट्स आर ऑलरेडी ऑपरेशनल, 6 यूनिट ऑलरेडी ऑपरेशनल हैं. तो इसको ज़्यादा इलाबरेट न करते हुए मैं यही बताऊंगा कि हम रेडी हैं. हमारे पास एनवायरनमेंट क्लियरेंस है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लाइसेंस है और स्पेशल प्लानिंग अथॉरिटी हम हैं. मतलब हमारा ये कहना है कि हमारी एक ही छत के नीचे सब सैंक्शंस होते हैं. चाहे आपको बिजली का कनेक्शन चाहिए हो, चाहे आपको पानी चाहिए हो, चाहे आपको अपना बिल्डिंग का अप्रूवल चाहिए हो, दिस ऑल हैपन्स अंडर वन रूफ. हम कहते हैं कि हम ये कर रहे हैं, बट ये एक एक्चुअल फोटोग्राफ है जो कुछ दिन पहले लिया गया. आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं कि कुछ इन्वेस्टर्स, हमारे DP वर्ल्ड के इन्वेस्टर यहाँ ऑलरेडी हैं, रंजीत रे जी. और ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर रियल फोटोग्राफ है जो SEZ में डेवलप हो चुका है और ये ऑपरेशनल होने वाला है नेक्स्ट मंथ में. इसके अलावा 6 यूनिट ऑलरेडी ऑपरेशनल है. हम ये बोलना चाहते हैं कि दिस SEZ इज फुल्ली इक्विप्ड विथ एवरीथिंग एंड वी आर रेडी. हमारे पास जो बेसिक मुद्दा है कि ऑलरेडी जो लीज्ड एरिया है वो 145 एकर्स हो चुका है और हमारे पास 255 एकर्स अभी लीज के लिए बाकी है. ये एक ओवरऑल मैप है. हमने पूरा SEZ को सेक्टर वाइज डिवाइड किया है. सेक्टर 7 में काफ़ी यूनिट्स काम कर रही हैं और अभी हमारे पास ये एरिया बाकी है. ये हम ऑपरेशनल फ्लो चार्ट दिखाते हैं इसलिए कि हम जैसे ही LOI इशू करते हैं आपको DCC से LOA लेना है, उसके बाद आपको अपफ्रंट फीस देनी है। और सबसे बड़ी बात, जो लीज पीरियड है, गवर्नमेंट में 30 इयर्स बोलते हैं, लेकिन ड्यू टू एफर्ट्स फ्रॉम द पोर्ट एंड द मिनिस्ट्री, दीज लीजेज आर फॉर 60 इयर्स। उसके बाद एक कंप्लीट प्रोसेस होता है। सो वी आर जस्ट डिपेंडेंट ऑन DC। एक बार DC का LOA अप्रूवल आ जाता है, देन वी साइन अ लीज डीड एंड देन द रियल कंस्ट्रक्शन स्टार्ट्स। फायर का, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का, वाटर का सब अप्रूवल एक छत के नीचे से होता है। और जो हमारे चेयरमैन साहब का विजन है, और जो विजन पूरा भी होगा, कि everything will be paperless, there will be no manual this thing, and we want to develop this SEZ as a smart SEZ. So dhanyawad, thank you, and I hope any doubts are there. Our chairman is there, deputy chairman is there, we are having a meeting. So thank you very much. Dhanyawad, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Shri Borwankarji, for your presentation. Now, may I invite Mr. Ashish Jagrawat, Consultant Jnpa SEZ, to deliver the presentation on DESH, Development of Enterprises and Services Hubs.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries, Chairman Sir, Deputy Chairman Sir, all other esteemed speakers for the day, CIA team. First of all, I would like to thank CI Jnpa for giving me an opportunity to be here in front of you. Today, I'm going to discuss more onto the new law which is coming up. You might have heard about that SEZ is getting transformed into a new law called DESH. So DESH is a short form, so if we elaborate it more, it's Development, Enterprise and Service Hub Act. So in last 1 month, you might have heard that many times various newspapers have covered this. It was scheduled to be passed in this monsoon session, but unfortunately it will be now dragged to winter session. But all other timelines, to my knowledge, are intact. And this is the time wherein one revolution came up when SEZ Act and rules came into in India in 2005, wherein there was an opportunity for moving from EOU's bonded warehouse to SEZ. This is the same time, this is the same junction we are at right now, wherein everybody can think of. And I'll also give you an idea as to why you should think at the end of my presentation and at the end of the panel discussion. I think anyone and everyone who is thinking of any unit setup, be it in any sector, would take it as an point that they can set up into SEZ, which is now converting into DESH. And how Jnpa is a location which is most advantageous considering the law which is coming up. Okay. So these are the current tax rates which are applicable or prevailing in India. I would say tax or duty rates. So right from income tax, 25 to 30%, but having said that, income tax exemptions are done away with for SEZ as of now. Custom duty ranges from 18% to 45%, which is applicable on all the imports a unit or an industry does from outside India to India. Goods and service tax again ranges from 0 to 28%. Stamp duty is, in Maharashtra, it's 5 to 7%. But for Jnpa being the public SEZ, 100% stamp duty on the first transaction of the lease is exempted. That is again for a period of 60 years, as Nitin sir also mentioned, that the lease is for a period of 60 years. So the first transaction of lease is exempted. Electricity duty, though there are some state government area-specific policy, which I'll elaborate further. But as of now, for some areas it is exempted, some areas it is not, but it is area-specific. Why I have shown this just to give you a glimpse that when you would analyze your supply chain, when you would analyze your taxes or duties, what you are paying, it will give you an idea as to what is the saving we are looking at when you consider the operation from day-to-day perspective. So on one side, I have SEZ, the current provision. On the right-hand side, you have the Desh law. A key areas which differentiate both the law is SEZ was aimed at getting more and more foreign exchange into India. It was getting more and more FDI investment into India. And then the third activity was the employment generation. Whereas on the contrary, Desh is completely opposite to it. What government is saying in Desh is we should create an infrastructure, we should generate employment opportunities, and then serve in India by Make in India, and then serve for the export market. So that in this, one very important point, because in SEZ you might have heard that everybody was talking about achieving a positive net foreign exchange earning. When I say positive net foreign exchange earning means, if you are earning $100 and if you are importing, let's say $101, then you can't set up into SEZ. But those requirements are done away with in Desh law. So this net foreign exchange earning requirement is also removed in the proposed law, and they are aiming more and more on to generation of employment, infrastructure development, then serve in India or produce in India, and then exports. In terms of all other tax benefits, those are intact. GST is also exempted, custom duty is also exempted, and believe me, it's an upfront exemption, real upfront exemption. You don't need to pay and get the refund just like you do in Indian jurisdiction. And then again, there are certain areas which are not available to you in the form of a refund. But in SEZ, it's an upfront exemption on whatever you procure for setting up, operation, and maintenance of your premises. Just like SEZ are deemed to be a port, custom land station, ICD, similarly, the Desh area would also be treated as or notified as a custom land station, ICD, port, whatever you call it as. This is just a brief what I mentioned, that what is changing, because the earlier SEZ policy was not WTO compliant. WTO is World Trade Organization, which is a body of various countries wherein the US particularly thinks that India is no longer a developing country, and therefore India cannot provide subsidies or incentive for the export of goods or services. And that's the reason this MEIS, which is an merchandise export from India scheme benefit, was there, and SEIS is discontinued in Indian market also, or for any of the exporter. And in lieu of that, a new policy called RODTEP has been introduced. It's a fractional duty on electricity or fuel cess gets refunded. But in SEZ, you need not depend on all these subsidies because your upfront exemption is there, which is on an average 18% to 30% if you combine put together for goods and services and custom duty. This is the progress so far. It was scheduled to be placed before the parliament in this monsoon session, but it will be now in the winter session and then followed by the rules. So practically, if you look at, so from 1st of April 2023, the next financial year, this should be live with the rules and the formats and all. A quick overview of how it will look around. So what is Desh actually? So Desh is like they are allowing any industrial park, any industrial building, or any building for that purpose, or any cluster for that purpose can also be converted into Desh, which is not available right now. And that is the reason SEZs were notified in the respective pockets. Now with this, why China, what is the major difference between China and India? And in fact, China has started this concept of free zone much earlier. And Ranjit sir is here, who is representing DP World. DP World is pioneer in free trade warehousing zone, which is just near to port. And Jnpa has the same advantage. Because your logistic cost, in Jnpa currently, one unit is an operational unit, I won't name the unit, they import and export 2,000 containers a year, which they were having a unit at Uran, which is like 10-15 kilometers from the port. They were spending close to around 10,000 rupees per 20-feet container. They moved into SEZ. Within 1 year of operation, they are paying just 3,000 rupees per container for import and export transaction from port to SEZ. Now you consider a saving of minimum 5,000 rupees per container into 2,000 containers a year. That is what the transportation cost is being saved for, apart from the other benefits. So this red line denotes an integrated development hub. So just like in SEZ currently, there is a board of approval, which is an interministerial board. On the similar lines, this integrated industrial development hub board would be there, which is comprising of a secretary level rank person from government of a state and the additional secretary from central government. And they would be the overall in charge of this policy. Whereas for each state, each hub, there would be a hub director, and which is called as a state board. So, and there would be two types of board. One is enterprise board and one is service board. Service hub. Enterprise hub would be mostly catering to your land related allotments, wherein the open land is allotted by the developer. And whereas in enterprise hub, manufacturing, trading, warehousing, and any kind of units can be set up. Whereas in service hub, it will be mainly meant for the services units. Now, Jnpa has that advantage also. I'll cover that into the subsequent slide. And now there may be a question that what will happen to the existing unit and what if we set up right now? So there's a clause which says that all the existing SEZs or the approved units in SEZ would be by default converted to development hub units. So there's no separate application, permission, conversion required by anybody, and your operation would be continue to be ongoing as you are doing right now. So there will be no hindrance to the operation. These are the key features what we talk about. First is all existing SEZs would be converted into DESH. Existing industrial park clusters can also be converted into DESH. As I mentioned, all units would be treated as units approved under DESH. And there's a body, as Nitin sir mentioned, that there's an approval, letter of approval required from Development Commissioner. So the Development Commissioner would be treated as a hub director by default. State board would be a unique feature which they have introduced. This time, all the state government departments, ranging from environment, pollution, law, revenue, including a secretary level person from state government, would also be part of the state board committees. So that your all state related approvals, fortunately in Jnpa you don't have to run around for various approvals, but in other SEZ that's the problem. So those approvals would also be with the state board committee. Now they are also developing a new portal, which is very unique of its kind in India. First time, everything would be integrated. SEZ means DESH, then EDI system, and then GST. Everything would be seamlessly integrated, including the state government approvals. So just like in SEZ right now, it's an online system for custom clearances and approvals from SEZ. Similarly, all the approvals once you are into DESH would be online, as again Nitin, so Jnpa is also working into that direction. May be possible that central government, all department may be integrated with that portal, and all the developer may also be given an access with. That I think Nitin sir will also have to work with Ministry of Commerce, with various stakeholders. One more thing, the definition of service is changed. Until now, the definition of service was that all the service units needs to mandatorily earn foreign exchange, even though they are rendering the services in India. But under DESH law, this requirement is completely done away with. So if you are with your units being set up into DESH, you can provide the goods or services in India also. And of course, when you are providing the services in India, you need to pay IGST, just like you are paying in India currently. And when you are rendering the goods manufactured in DESH to Indian territory, you need to pay the custom duties. So it's an import into India. But the services portion, all these warehousing services or storage services units, all those won't be required to earn foreign exchange, and there is no net foreign exchange earning requirement. That's a remarkable change actually. And then within a cluster, individual plots can also be notified or denotified. If some units being into DESH, after 2 years, 3 years down the line, thinks that they don't want to be there in DESH, a developer can denotify that particular piece of land, and then there is no contiguity required, which is required as of now. These are the benefits we talked about, so I'll just quickly skip through this because this will cover in the panel discussion in detail. And how Jnpa is at an advantageous spot right now, looking at this new remarkable change which is happening. These are the few facts about Jnpa which I'll just skip through, but the most important part is SPA, which will help Jnpa in this future transaction, is a special planning authority. Okay. These are the advantages. This is right side, you can see the map of the Jnpa SEZ, wherein the advantages are, First is the close proximity to the port, which I mentioned that would lead to a recurring saving in terms of your import and export cargo. And the lead time, trust me, right now also the units are working onto that. If you place your own vehicle, the vehicle can have 4 to 5 trips a day to and fro from the SEZ to the port, which is not possible in any of the SEZ across India. Second is, even if the vessel sailing date is of the same day, you need not put your container to the parking plaza. You can directly remove the container from your unit or the warehouse facility to the direct jetty, basically. It can directly load it onto the ship. Third is, like with this Jnpa being the multi-sector SEZ currently, it would be converted into enterprise hub. Therefore, it gives an opportunity for all sort of entrepreneurs, which includes trading, manufacturing, warehousing, storage, and service unit to be located their units into SEZ, or the proposed DESH basically. And one more unique facility which, so since DP World is also there, so which offers free trade warehousing zones. In a way, it's an storage or warehousing unit. So suppose if you set up your manufacturing facility within the Jnpa and you are falling short of your space to store finished goods or raw material within your premises and you can't expand to take up the new land, then you have within SEZ or within DESH hub, you have the facility to store your goods in the other warehousing facilities which are available in Jnpa, which is again a unique combination which is not present in various SEZ. That's all from my side. I'll cover the rest of the things in the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chakravat, for this presentation on DESH, which is really very crucial for the industry. Now, may I invite Mr. Ravindra Arya, past chairman, CII, Southern Gujarat Zonal Council, and chairman and managing director, Bindal Group of Companies.
Good morning. Mr. Sanjay Sethi, Chairman JNPA, our CIS President Mr. Paras Mehta, CIS South Gujarat Chairman Mr. Paras Mehta, Mr. Shivaji Dange, Custom Commissioner, Mr. Nitin Borwankar, CEO JNPA SEZ, Mr. Ashish Jagrawat, consultant, all the stakeholders from industry and JNPA, our past chairman from CII, Mr. Chetan Contractor and Binay Agarwal, delegates at the conclave. I'll sum up what we have discussed in last few minutes. Maybe you find it a little repetitive, but I think it is better to listen to that so that you absorb what JNPA is and what SEZ and what DESH is in completely. So, it is my pleasure to conclude the inaugural session of this illustrious JNPA SEZ Investor Conclave. And now, after seeing this, I can say JNPA Dash Investor Conclave. As we are celebrating our Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we need to rise to the occasion to charter our nation's growth saga. While we have many verticals to augment our position, dedicated efforts towards transforming our logistics sector will play a pivotal role in underscoring our leadership role as a global logistic hub. Port-led development is a major catalyst that will help us attain our objective seamlessly. It is imperative for the industry to partner with the government and be a part of various development-oriented initiatives that have been chalked for the realization of the ambitious Maritime Vision 2030. Setting of port proximate industrial capacities near the coast as a part of the Sagarmala project is one such initiative that is expected to give impetus to the Indian industry. as an industry, investing in a port-based facility that offers seamless connectivity and a robust infrastructure, along with a host of other facilities, will assist us in upgrading our prowess and will ultimately result in lowering our cost of production and offering cost-competitive products of the global standards. As we are aware, Jnpa at Navi Mumbai is one of the premier container handling ports in India. In less than 3 decades of its operations, Jnpa has transformed from a bulk cargo terminal to become the premier container port in the country. Currently, Jnpa operates 5 container terminals: the JNPCT, which is Jawaharlal Nehru Port Container Terminal, Nhava Sheva International Container Terminal, Gateway Terminals India, Nhava Sheva International Gateway Terminal, and the newly commissioned Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal Private Limited. The port also has a shallow water berth for general cargo and another liquid cargo terminal, which is managed by BPCL, IOCL Consortium, and a newly constructed coastal berth. Thus, Jnpa has firmly anchored itself as the major catalyst for trade and commerce in the country and is strongly committed to providing seamless services to the world. Ranked 26th in the list of top 100 container ports globally, Jnpa accounts for around 50% of total containerized cargo volume across the major ports of India and is connected to over 200 ports in the world. With the intent of establishing a new benchmark in port-led industrialization under the Sagarmala initiative, Jnpa has set up a special economic zone, now which is DASH, spread across 277 hectares of Jnpa land. This industrial hub is India's first port-based multi-product operational SEZ that has been meticulously designed with state-of-the-art infrastructure to boost export-oriented industries in India. What type of industries will be allowed and what type of industries are not allowed for this? I think that we will interact in the main session with the panel. Jnpa SEZ promises ready availability of infrastructure, effective passage to global markets, and strong multimodal connectivity. Access to the upcoming multimodal infrastructure projects, including the Navi Mumbai International Airport, DFC Rail Corridor, and Mumbai Trans Harbour Link, has also increased the attractiveness of Jnpa SEZ as a manufacturing and service sector destination. Now a little about CII. CII, Confederation of Indian Industry, works to create and sustain an environment conducive to the development of India, partnering with industry, government, and civil society through advisory and consultative processes. CII has been at the forefront of reforms and is working diligently to offer solutions to the critical challenges that are hampering the growth of the Indian industry. In line with its leadership position, CII Western Region has proudly associated with Jnpa SEZ for organizing today's Jnpa SEZ Investor Conclave 2022. With Invest in the Next Growth Story as the central theme, Jnpa SEZ Investor Conclave will offer meaningful takeaways to the participants at this conclave. The conclave will enable attendees to interact with Jnpa SEZ authorities for understanding various nuances of the project in person and creating mutually beneficial partnerships for holistic development. I would like to congratulate the Jnpa SEZ management for organizing this outreach-oriented initiative and taking special efforts to touch basing with the stakeholders from the Indian industry. I am sure that the deliberations which will emerge at this conclave will certainly deliver a positive impact on the futuristic growth of the Jnpa SEZ and industry. Jnpa SEZ management is available for in-person B2B meetings. These interactions will be ideal for engaging with the relevant stakeholders on a one-to-one basis and understanding the offerings of the Jnpa SEZ. The participants who wish to avail the opportunity of meeting senior authorities from Jnpa SEZ may contact CII Secretariat available at the registration counter. Once again, friends, I extend a warm welcome to all of you present here and offer my best wishes for fruitful interactions today. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arya, for your address. Now, may I invite Mr. Nitin Borwalkar, CEO, Jnpa SEZ, to the dais, and Mr. Ravindra Arya, past Chairman, CII, Southern Gujarat Zonal Council, and Chairman and Managing Director, Bindal Group of Companies. Yes. And Mr. Paras Mehta, Chairman, CII, Southern Gujarat Zonal Council, and Director, OrgoCam Gujarat Private Limited. Now we will have our next session, the panel discussion on port-led industrialization at Jnpa SEZ, harnessing opportunities through ease of doing business. For this panel discussion, we have the speakers with us. The esteemed panelists are Sri Unmesh Sharad Wagh, IRS Deputy Chairman, Jnpa, Mr. Vishal S. Budhia, Vice Chairman, CII, Southern Gujarat Zonal Council, Managing Director, Steam House India Limited, Mr. Ranjit Ray, Director, NSBPL DP World, Mr. Devendra Mandral, Chief Executive Officer and Director, Indigo Seaways Private Limited, Mr. Ashish Agrawat, Director and CEO, Moon SEZ Consultant. And to moderate the panel, we have with us Mr. Jagannarayan Padmanabhan, Director and Practice Leader, Transport, Logistics and Mobility, CRISIL. I will request the delegates to be inside. We will just have the session in next 2 minutes.
change is our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision of Make in India. India is emerging as the preferred manufacturing hub across the globe. And the key driver of this change is our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision of Make in India. The main focus of this initiative is to attract foreign investments and create job opportunities in our country. Inspired by this, the Ministry of Shipping launched the Sagarmala program to promote port-based industrialization. Many major steps are taken in this direction, and one of the game changers is the JNPT Special Economic Zone. A one-of-a-kind 277-hectare multi-product SEZ is being developed adjacent to Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, India's #1 container port. Being strategically placed close to Mumbai, the economic capital of India.
Request all the panelists to come on board. Only just wanted to inform that since our chairman and deputy chairman, there's some urgent meeting cropped up. His online meeting is going on. So he has just requested that let the show go on, and they are both are there. As soon as they get time, they will come down. And till that time, the panel discussion can go on. I think we will request Jagan, please come in, and all the speakers, you can call them. Until he comes, I will be there. But if he comes in, well and good. Otherwise, let us continue the program.
Thank you, sir. So may I invite the moderator, Mr. Jananagaran Padmanabhan, Director and Practice Leader, Transport, Logistics and Mobility, CRISIL, and the esteemed panelist, Mr. Vishal S. Budia, Vice Chairman, CII, Southern Gujarat Zonal Council, Managing Director, Steam House India Limited, Mr. Ranjit Ray, Director, NSBPL DP World, Mr. Devendra Manral, Chief Executive Officer and Director, Indigo Seaways Private Limited, Mr. Ashish Jagrawat, Director and CEO, Moon ACZ Consultant Private Limited.
Thank you, CI, for this wonderful session. Happy to be here. Thanks all the panelists to have come here and participate in this discussion. So what we're going to be kind of talking today is on the overall JNPA, then specifically on the JNPA SEZ, and the ease of doing business inside that JNPA SEZ. I think these are the three broad areas under which we would be talking about, and we have a mix of both people on the industry side part of it, and also the authority who would be joining in, or Mr. Borwankar can kind of step in as things pan out. So just to kind of contextualize, when I saw Mr. Borwankar put across the presentation and talk about it, one additional point that maybe it really struck me was JNPA is on a landlord model going through that part of it and nearly there. The second is probably one of the few ports has continuously invested and continues to invest. You know, what you talked about, 3,500 crores being put across for the road infrastructure is phenomenal, right? I mean, you can actually get a port itself built if you put probably another 500 or 1,000 crores. So the context is that's the kind of focus which is being put by JNPA in the overall infrastructure, not specifically, and this is just roads. I'm sure the quantum of investment will be multitude or multiples of that 3,500 otherwise. So I think that's from an industry perspective is a clear call out that you should be looking at. It is a growth-oriented port, always wanting to do better, and follows up with just investments. And so that's one clear advantage which is there. But coming into the specifics of why we are and what we are talking about, from a region perspective, if you were to specifically say in Gujarat, there are options for you. There are multiple other ports which are there. I would like to kind of get Mr. Mandral in conversation, his experience of having managed multiple ports, now being in the industry and in this region. What does he see, how the industry can kind of benefit from such a port-led development and an SEZ coming up? What are the kind of industries that can be tapped into and how the development can overall look at it? And you can probably talk about the overall port landlord model as well. Mr. Mandral.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone here. And the very right question has been put to me with my background being associated with the port, with the industry, and also with the business units. I have to, at one point in time, we never thought this is going to happen in India. I've been in industry for over 45 years, and I'm so happy that under the able leadership and of Center as well as, Sethi ji, probably the first port in India which is the full landlord model. I will just like to walk back a little bit how the port sector works. So you have a service port in which everything is done by the government. Then we have tool port in which the cargo operations are kind of, given up to a third party, and some transportation of goods are given, but majorly it's controlled by the government. And then comes the landlord model. Landlord model is that where all the, berths, terminals are given to a third party, and they have to operate it. And what they do is the only common services what we have, that is the traffic management, the pilotage, the mooring ropes, the security, safety, fire is given by the port authorities. And of course, the next step, it will be the corporatized model or the privatized model. So the advantages you have with a landlord model is that here something called intra-competition, intra-port competition comes in where one terminal is competing against the second terminal. What would happen in a normal port is government sets a rate, everybody wants to charge the same rate, but that's not going to happen here. So terminals are going to build up their efficiencies, and customer is going to be benefiting with that, and also the handling rates will come down. And that's what is happening, and I'm very, very happy to see this happen in India. Abroad, all the ports work in this model. So Jnpa, I'll start right from the beginning. What advantage the Jnpa has? I mean, all the speakers have spoken about it. Now I'm going to come and talk particularly from the port perspective because I'm from the port background. So Jnpa has a unique advantage of you have a lot of inter-port competition as well as intra-port competition. Inter-port competition is when you are having competition with two different ports, say Mundra, Pipava, Cochin, Mangalore, Vadapalam, and Vishakhapatnam. With that you have. And the second thing is intra-port competition is within the two adjacent terminals. So everybody would want to have more and more customers, so you have to give them better services. You have to give them, lesser freight rate. At the end of the day, whoever is coming, he should get some tangible benefits, then only he'll come to you. So I'm very happy. This is what we are seeing in Jnpa. Now, what advantage will it bring to our customer is, at the end of the day, as an exporter, as an importer, you look two things: how soon my container has come, my cargo has come, can it come to me? How soon I can process it, and how soon I can export it back, and I can make, whatever the investment I made, I can get a ROI on it. So from that perspective, we come to the second thing, that what are the advantages that's going to happen in JNPA? Now, the biggest advantage one gets is, as an importer of the cargo, who brings the cargo, he put in a lot of money to import the cargo and brings it in. He is desperately waiting that when he can get his cargo, and then he can, process it and then send it back. So in JNPA, you have maximum number of liners coming. And when maximum number of liner ships comes, you are able to get the best frequency, you are able to get a best rate. So that's one advantage. The second thing is, with the SEZ zone, whose name has now been modified, if you were to have your product over there, and if someone was bringing the product, say, what I see is, if I go back specifically in terms of Gujarat belt, we have right a belt coming in from Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Bharuch, Ankleshwar, Surat, Valsad. That's the whole belt comes down. And if we have these industries, which are bringing in the maximum industries, we have gems, textile, pharma, engineering units. These are some of the prominent units we have here, and most of the goods are brought in, processed, and sent out. That's one segment. The second part is, some of the goods are produced locally, and then they are exported out. There are two things that happens. Of course, we have a very big chemical industry, but what presentation we saw, there is not so much of place, because I'm sure they will like to have in the SEZ zone clean industry. So probably the chemical industries may not find that much of place over there. So what happens is that, let us go back to stage one, where you have a product textile unit, for example. I mean, you have a textile cargo, and you are processing it, you're making garments out of it, or you made textile, you're going to pack it and export it up. As an investor, what I want is, I have put the money on the raw goods, and I want to get a bank money as soon as possible, and that is going to happen if you get your goods in the SEZ zone, because it is considered deemed export. As once you get your container in, or once you get your cargo in, you can show the paper to the bank and you can get X amount of money, and that's what every investor looks for. So there's a big advantage that this opportunity presents us over here. Then we come to the processing industry. If there is an industry that we have, like, we can, for example, the electronic industry, which parts of it is being imported, some value addition is being done here, and then it is exported. So that is another kind of industry which will gain tremendously by setting up their units in the SEZ zone. Tax exemptions, ease of doing business, and the best part I have, what I normally come across with the large business houses is, sir, we were sending our container, but we missed out the deadline, the ship sailed out. Now, when the ship sailed out, so the container is lying there for the next 20, 25 days. Now, his investment is blocked. And not only his investment is blocked, he's paying for the container and everything as well. So if he gets his goods in the SEZ zone, and then it is a deemed export and he gets his money. Gems and jewelry is a business, but to my knowledge, it is not being done much by sea. But I think, if we get the new airport coming closer by, probably that will be another area for us to work. So the industries that I see are going to be pharma industry, textile industry, electronics industries, and some engineering industries which can come in, which can take the place inside. They can use it as a deemed export, which will, help benefit their credit flow system. They can get the money faster, and that's going to be a win-win situation, both as well as for the client and for the JNP as well, because JNP will get more traffic, and the client will get his revenue faster. So that's it, what I have to say.
Sure.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'd like to get Mr. Ray into the discussion. There's always a saying, the proof of pudding is in eating, right? And in that context, DP World, one of the largest A, port developer, B, operates a free trade warehousing zone. I mean, it's called as a FTWZ, but if you look at JAVSA and it's a JAVSA free zone authority itself, it's a huge, humongous land parcel, probably about 10,000 acres and above, and growing. Pioneers in this, in a way of value-added special economic zone, if I were to put that way. They are the pioneers in that. So they have kind of taken space in the SEZ, at Jnpa SEZ. So two questions there. One, what prompted you to kind of take that up? And having taken up, what is the kind of response you're seeing in from the market? Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So let me just give you a little idea, little brief about my company, DP World. We are Dubai Port World, a global MNC and logistic and shipping company. Unlike our competitors, we are an asset-heavy company in logistics. We believe in owning and operating strategic assets. We operate in 75 countries. It is a 65-year-old company, headquartered in Dubai. We started from Dubai port and then spread across. We operate 53 container terminals across world, and more than 75 large-scale assets across. Our Jebel Free Zone is one of the flagship in the world. It spread over 60 square kilometer, serving to more than 8,000 units, or clients, I should say. Connectivity to more than 275 countries. The Dubai port, which is another flagship port of the world, it's ranking 10 in the world. And there itself, we handle about 22 million TEU per annum in single port. And as a group, we handle all over our container terminals 85 million TEU per annum as a group. We believe owning assets, strategic, whatever the capex may be, but owning asset, operating it, and our focus always port-based or port-led infrastructure. Owning and operating the terminal, which is the gateway that controls in and out, that has to be owned and operated by us as a company, and also any other assets support the terminal, so that the entire supply chain largely under one control. That is our strategy as a policy, as a group. And we also believe after successfully operating JAVSA for last 35 years, Jebel Free Zone, we believe SEZ, in India it is called SEZ, in other countries it's called different, economic zones, free trade zones, different names. We always see that wherever we have a terminal, we put as much as possible, whenever there is a possibility of land parcel available, we put a zone there. We call it zone globally. And we see there is a lot of complement, lot of synergy, lot of value-added services between this facility, terminal and a zone. This zone can be an industrial zone, can be a logistic zone, can be SEZ, can be a free trade zone. Everywhere, America, Europe, Australia, Africa, and Asia, we have that concept, and it is successfully operating for decades. We are the first global container port operating company in the world, operating in India in 1997. We are the first in PPP model in JNPT again. We invested in 2 terminals in JNPT and operating that for last 25 years. And then other global MNC came to India, but we are the first. So our relation with JNPT long ago, 25 years back. Coming to JNPT, the first concession, we now operating 5 terminals in India. And JNPT is the flagship again because we own 2 terminals there. Almost 30% of Indian containers EXIM services we are handling in India through our 5 terminals, through our CFS, ICD, container trains, and other assets. That is our group overview. Coming to JNPT, as I told you, it is a long association, very long, 25 years, fast PPP. we invested about 1,500 crore that time when we started these two terminals, both in civil as well as in equipments, and make it one of the world class in the terms of container movement per minute, per hour. We, in fact, happy to bring up Indian container train efficiency parameter index, long time 1997 as per the global standard. From the movement of 45 moves per hour to we moved to 32, 27, now at 26. So we are happy to do that in India, and that is to in JNPT. We did so because of the one major thing is JNPT management's acceptability to change, flexibility, open in taking our ideas, which we give global experiences. That promptly accepted by them and implemented, and that's why we are getting such efficiency, and the port is efficiently operating across the forum, across the index. Coming to the facility, we are right now we are putting another 1,500 crore. I think one of the sizable capex we are putting in the SEZ, because we believe that a port and a SEZ works better. That has given us dividend ROI across the globe, and why not in India, and we are signing that. And more importantly, we invested heavily in SEZ, a port-based SEZ first time, that we have a network of ports and economic zones across the globe, so that we can connect easily this facility to the terminals, to all our terminals across the globe, so that there is a seamless supply chain or trade flow between India to other countries through our assets. So we saw this is the right opportunity here, and that is the reason we put another 1,500 crore in investing free zones. 80 acres of land we have taken, and the first phase of the facility is getting operation from the next month. The facility is going to have 2 million square feet of warehousing and other value-added services, and state-of-art facility of all kind of storage. While investing in this storage, of course, we have got a very good experience from JNPT right from 1997, but we see a lot of changes has come on the way, the 3 pillars, the ease of doing business, and etc. Especially in SEZ investment, our second phase of heavy investment in JNPT, we see a sea change in the attitude, in the flexibility, in the ease of doing business, so far as the JNPT is concerned, authority is concerned. More importantly, the land parcel. 400 acres of land parcel, freehold, absolutely ready to start this, with all approvals, environment and building plan approval, etc. is readily available. Water, electricity, custom office insights, and absolutely all kind of approvals are available, so that we immediately after getting the project in the tender, within 6 months of time, we can sign the lease deed and start construction. And in 8 months of signing the lease deed, the next month we are going to operate the facility. So that is the kind of seamless approvals, seamless process that we received from JNPT authority. Now coming to the response from the trade, we should say that we are fortunate, we have a captive cargo available in our JNPT, our Jhabja free zone, where more than 700 clients are operating to their, or giving service to their Indian clients, keeping their cargo in our free zone in Jhabja. Once we are up and operating in the JNPT, it is a low-hanging fruit for us, because they all will shift their shops from Jhabja partly to their India customers operating from JNPT itself. So that is a captive cargo-like thing for us, or captive client-like for us. Apart from that, I should say, or happy that when we are going to operate from next month, already 20 clients are already onboarded, and there is a response from 637 clients. Out of 637, 170 from Jhabja clients. If I'll minus that, more than 450 clients, Indian clients, are going to, or they have shown their interest to operate out of JNPT SEZ and from our facility. The next thing is, by having a free zone inside a SEZ, the ecosystem which we are creating in terms of freight forwarding, CHA, transportations, and the process involved, and rightly what Ashish told, that if somebody is having a shortage of space there, they can shift the cargo to the free zone and store there in a tax-free environment. All this ecosystem is being created by OMP free zone there inside a free zone, and the port, the biggest port of the country next to it. So the whole thing works better for anybody who's coming there and putting their shop and inside a SEZ with other disadvantage and other things. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Ray. I think 2 aspects. One is tapping into your global network, ability to do that, and also there is good response from the market aspect as well. And suffice it to say, if I have to hazard a guess, the kind of investment that you would have done would be more than, let's say, about 1,500 crores and above as a general part of it in the SEZ at Jnpa itself, right? So I think not a, I know that you can't put a specific number or reveal that, but I think that's the magnitude of investment that is being kind of talked about in that, you know, if I heard you right, about 80 acres of land is what we are looking at. So that's great. Now to get Ashish in the discussion. So thanks for the great presentation of the development of enterprises and services hub, the Desh. You know, many of the, in a way, if I can say, lacunas which were there on SEZ are getting addressed by this new amendment and the new law and the bill which is getting passed. Now, how does that kind of apply into a Jnpa SEZ, right? What are the benefits for the units and how should they be looking at it? And if a person from Surat is looking at investment into Jnpa SEZ, now it will no longer be SEZ, so to say, it will be Jnpa Desh or whatever the terminology which will come through. How do they stand to benefit out of that?
Right. So as I mentioned in my presentation also, that SEZ is getting transformed into Desh, and Jnpa being strategically located at near to one of the leading port in India. So industries which Sir mentioned about, like right from Ahmedabad, Bharuch, Ankleshwar, Surat, the kind of industries what we have is like textile, pharma, chemical, because once we start from Ahmedabad, the pharma industries are more. Then in Surat, Ankleshwar, Bharuch, there are various petrochemical, chemical industries. Of course, pharma companies are there. And then Surat, textile and gems and jewelry is a hub. Now, practically, when we compare any other policy with SEZ, what are the advantages? So what we discuss is about the terminologies. I'll just give you a glimpse of what this advantages turns out to be in real numbers. Let's say, take an example of a textile company. If they set up a plant in SEZ right now also, or let's say the same benefits are getting continued in Jnpa, SEZ, Desh basically. If a plant cost is worth, let's say, 50 crore rupees, which is being invested over an area of, let's say, 5 to 10 acres of land, towards the plant building, the electrical, mechanical, plumbing, utilities, development. If a plant costing is 50 crore rupees in SEZ or so-called Desh, you would be getting an upfront exemption. Even if you are procuring all the goods and services from India, you would be saving net 9 crore rupees in the capex. Versus that, if the same plant is being set up in India, even if for that purpose in EOU, if you are procuring anything and everything from India, you would be paying that GST of 9 crore, which is not refundable, first of all. Neither it is available to you as a credit. So those who are from the finance background, those might be aware, there's a section in CGST Act, section 17(5), which says that anything paid towards the capital goods procurement is not available as an input or refund also. So that's a cost. So a plant cost in DTA would be 50, not 50 crore, it will be 50 plus 9 crore, 59 crores. Whereas in SEZ, it would be net 50 crores. That is on the capex side. Now you can multiply this with the magnitude of the size of the investment what you are looking at. When it comes to the operation side, apart from your raw material, whatever consumables you procure, whatever services you procure ranging from housekeeping, security, AMC, maintenance, premises insurance also, that is also exempted upfront from the GST. So even if your yearly operating expenditure for a plant, for the outsourcing employees and all these ancillary services or the consumables is, let's say, 5 crore, you would be again saving net on an average 1 crore rupees yearly. Without doing anything, this is just adding to your bottom line. Consider a scenario wherein you are importing capital goods, including plant and machinery, from overseas. Then you would be saving a custom duty ranging from overall 30.980%, considering 10% BCD, to 56-57% also, depending on the HS codes. Now, there may be an argument saying that if we set up a unit in EOU or advanced license or EPCG we take, we may be getting the custom duty benefit. But now, if you look at the overall perspective, in EOU, that IGST portion of custom duty, because custom duty has a three portion, one is basic custom duty, IGST and cess, that IGST portion of custom duty is extended through a circular. For EOU, advanced license, EPCG, it is extended through a circular and it is not there in the Act. Whereas this custom duty and GST benefit for SEZ is there in the Act itself. So unless and until the law gets amended through the Parliament, nobody can change that. Furthermore, for EOU, that IGST exemption is governed through a document called IGCRD, which is required to be obtained at the time of import. That is the validity of that extension is granted only up to 30th September 2022, which was there until June, and it extended for 3 more months. The reason for that are there, because government is working for FTA. You must be knowing that government is negotiating with European Union for a comprehensive FTP. Once that FTP is out, you would see that these benefits of EOU, EPCG, advanced license are being done away with, because this new DASH policy is a substitute of all this policy, including the current benefit which SEZ is offering. Now, coming to the specific question of how Jnpa would be advantageous. So, Jnpa offers you a multiple activity sector, basically. Jnpa is a multi-sector SEZ right now. So, wherein you can have your textile plant also. You can have, even if you want to do warehousing for any of the contract manufacturers, basically. When I say, let's say in textile industry, there are players, denim or Levi's or Spikers and all, they do the contract manufacturing. There are units in Indore, SEZ also right now who supplies or who do the contract manufacturing. So after contract manufacturing, your finished product won't be moving out of your premises or maybe stored for some time. So you can also provide warehousing facilities to your client, even though you are not manufacturing those goods. You can have third-party logistic companies as your warehouse operators also. And till the time the goods are remaining into the DESH or SEZ, you need not pay any duties or taxes. It's again an additional advantage of a bonded warehouse. Bonded warehouse, in a normal area, you have certain limitation of 1 year of storage. Whereas in SEZ, there is no time limit of storage. You can store the goods as much time as you want. So that's the unique advantage, and of course, clubbed with the proximity to the port, wherein just-in-time availability of the material can be done. The ship selling dates won't be missed. It's hardly half an hour time it takes from SEZ to port, which is not the case with other location.
Yeah, great. Vishal, I know it's always very hard to be the last one to be talked about. So many of the speakers would have covered points, but having been in the region and you kind of heading the whole, the Gujarat part of on the CII of the region part of it, and worked with the industry or being an entrepreneur as well. What do you think are the key things that our industry looks forward, right, when they are going to be setting up a unit anywhere, right? What are the key elements that you think are important that needs to be addressed? A. B, what kind of industries, they've been already talked about, but from your experience, which are the other industries could be looked up on, who could potentially look at Jnpa SEZ as a location? Those are two things which are there.
Thank you, Padmanabhan. Rather, I find a good opportunity that I'm from the industry, and specifically from the southern Gujarat region, and call it from Bharuch, Ankleshwar to Vapi, Sarigam. Vapi, Sarigam being very close to JNPT, the closest to the JNPT. And Vapi, Sarigam, as you're aware, have not only chemical industries, but the more specific, I would say that the paper mills, the paper industries, all the raw material for paper mills, primarily, like one is the raw paper waste and coal. These are the basic two raw materials for paper mills, and a good amount of export is being done craft paper export is being done. So we can understand that only the mainland is being used and the employment is being generated on the mainland. Otherwise, a port would be the best opportunity to have these projects. So I would say JNPA, SEZ, or Desh as it would be the most ideal location. But very unfortunately, I feel that we are missing on the opportunity of having manufacturing industries or processing industries in specific in this region. Southern Gujarat is more about manufacturing. Yes, of course, any industry that would want to set up a project there would first look for ease of doing business. With the presentations of Mr. Ashish, I feel that the government and the JNP has very nicely covered the requirement. But I would still like to add it, when we say that the approvals will be under one roof, I will rather want to say it should be from one computer. While we start applying for land in the SEZ, a data bank should be built for an industrialist where every data is being stored in the computer of the government authorities. And whenever an approval is required, the data should be fetched from the computer itself rather than being asked from the industry to get an approval again, because we always find that, okay, this officer's signature is missing. One. Two, there should be a good exit policy for tenants or the lessees there, because we have seen a good number of failures in people who have been trying to put industries in SEZ. And this scares the industrialist more because, chances of failures are to be taken always in consideration before setting up a project. And so there should be a good and transparent policy for, because when an industry fails, we cannot blame it to the industrialist. Rather, we should be praising the industrialist for taking that risk. In Gujarati, we have a word, I'm just missing that word, which means that an industrialist is a risk taker. So let's appraise his risk by having a transparent and supportive policy for exit too. And it is a very fortunate thing that we have a port-led SEZ, and we would rather request that Southern Gujarat region would be blessed if more of land can be acquired and a processing sector can be set up with more common facilities like common effluent treatment plant and these things coming up. That could really help the industries. The industries that can immediately take advantage of this facility, I believe, will be like the pharmaceutical formulation industries, which do not do any pollution. They have value addition. The packaging industries, lab-grown diamond. Lab-grown diamond, why? Because most of the exports, there would be a good number of exports from lab-grown diamonds, and it is an energy-intensive industry. And as you, before the meeting, you were discussing that electricity cost would be comparatively lower, so that can be a good advantage as well. There should be always also some link on, I don't know what the policy says about, but when if an entrepreneur who's setting up a project in SEZ and has an advantage of having a renewable energy setup in the mainland, of course, that would be in the mainland. So what are the links and what are the options available? Even the factory policies and the labor permissions that are required should be also tried to look like a foreign land when we are talking about, because if we call it SEZ, I probably call it a foreign land as of now. So I think these are the points I would preferably like to add. Thank you.
I think a very, very important point that you talked about, other than calling out which kind of industries, is don't punish the entrepreneur because either he has put in his money, sweat, and kind of developed an industry. So nobody would want to develop an industry to fail. So even if it does, for some reason, have a failure, allow him to at least exit peacefully from that particular place. I mean, that's an excellent part which is there. And I kind of quickly get into Ashish there. Ashish, I think probably that is getting addressed in this whole Desh thing, right? To kind of notify and denotify a particular region. Maybe 2 minutes of that can help in people, because this is a very valid point that you brought into a forum, that getting in, it's like an Abhimanyu, right? You get into the Chatravyuga and there, then you should also be able to come out of it. So does it allow you to come out of it, or you're just trapped and then, come and die with me? Should not be the case. So very valid point. How do you, how does this particular change really
Right, so
into that?
3 important points to what sir mentioned. So one is, I just brief you. So there is a provision of having a special designated courts for the, other than criminal trials related to the units in Desh. So there's a provision especially incorporated wherein the state government would have a discussion with the judges of High Court to designate special courts for Desh units, first of all. That will expedite the civil matters and trials. And second is, first time in any law in India, arbitration mechanism has been brought for. So wherein the arbitrator powers are given to the hub director. And the last point is, wherein sir mentioned that if a unit fails, what happens? So there is a specific provision which was not there, that within the Desh area, you can have plot-wise notification and denotification also. So there's no contiguity is required between the entire zone. And if you don't want to be there in the Desh policy, you don't want to avail the benefits for whatever reason, you can be an out of Desh policy with a particular that segment of the portion being denotified. You won't be getting the benefits, but you can still operate from the same premises of the factory. So you don't have to move your plant, machinery, material out of the premises, which is happening currently in the current law. And this, I think, would change the entire dynamics. And any area can be converted into Desh and can be notified further. So I think that answers the question, right?
Yeah, so I think the context, if you have to just talk about it further, is today you are an entrepreneur is saying that I have an opportunity, I would like to look at it and export and come into the SEZ area, because Ashish has sweet talked and kind of talked about saying that how it's like 20%, lesser in terms of capital. So everything looks hunky-dory and you go and set it up saying that I would be exporting it and get those benefits. In today's context, if you were to, not the plan doesn't come to that part of it, you will have to do a drawback, pay those money back into it, but the ability to then denotify and operate at that location does not be there with you. So you need to really shut shop and move away, because you can't do a domestic within that particular region. So I think the clear part of it is that people say that I don't mind paying that duty drawback and pay that money back to the government, because that should have originally gone back, but allow me to operate, because I have other businesses where the domestic is thriving enough. I would now want to use the same unit into service the domestic area. I think that's the clear thing that is there. So you would be able to exit gracefully, look at the Indian market, go that further, and do that part of it. I think that's an excellent part of it. The first one, you talked about court and arbitration, I thought you're not making matters simpler by saying that you'll have the court and the arbitration point. I think the third one is the most important one. You'll be able to denotify it and come out of it, because we have heard enough of
even in the built-up area, building floor-wise denotification is also proposed for, which is in fact would be a very unique. Let's say there's a building of 10 floors, you can have 2 floors notified, again 2 floors denotified, again 2 floors notified. So something, if this happens, and in fact that's there in the draft bill and the final bill also, and which is very likely to come in the winter session. So this would be again a game changer.
So I think that's a very interesting one. Mandal, you would maybe want to talk about it, but just one small on. You talked about Mandal, talk about the gems and jewelry. Like then it becomes a very unique proposition that you can do both the domestic part of it and do a medical devices guy maybe looking at doing an export part of it and doing it internal. So it's a square feet. It does take up area and work through that. So I see Ray saying that, okay, now I can sell the entire units at DP will SEZ more faster if this kind of comes through. Yeah, Mr. Mandra.
Hello. Yeah, coming back to it, while, I was listening to the panel, and it's something unique. Let's talk in place of it that today most of our I'm in Gujarat for the last 6 years. So Gujarati, people are very entrepreneurial, and they are, they think far ahead, and that's the reason the state is #1 today. Sometime when we import the goods, especially the chemicals and the pharma products, additives. They're very expensive. And what happens when you're exporting them, there is a particular minimum quantity you have to lift. Then only it becomes commercially viable for you. And the question is, if you're bringing a container of, say, 20 tons, and your monthly consumption is just about, say, 1 ton, you've probably 1.5 tons, you've already got an inventory of 1 year with you. And if you bring that inventory here, knowing very well they're going to use only, 1.5 tons per month. And then if you have to clear the whole container, and imagine you end up paying duty of 28%. So that's, addition burden on you. So one of the big advantages that I was thinking is you can have by storing in the SEZ zone is you only withdraw the limited quantity that you require, you pay the tax on it, you process the good, bring it back. Once it comes back in the SEZ zone, it's a deemed export for you. And once it is a deemed export, you take the papers, get to the bank, get your money, and then you have sufficient money to, take the next lot. So that's one of the big advantages that you have. And as I said, that there are many industries which can do value addition. I go back to my experience when I was in Ireland. Those days there was a lot of corporate tax, 11% they had, and Germany had 26% tax. So coming back to the point is that, like, even small things like, we have a Jnpa factory here, we have, a lot of things, and we export detergents, finished products from India. If the goods could be brought in the, big sacks, and only the value addition you can do to those products in the SEZ industry is the packaging. Thereby you get the benefit of the taxes, as well as you can recover the money faster, because it's a deemed export. So these are a couple of great incentives which, I would say that all our, Gujarati exporters, importers, entrepreneurs should look into it. There is a direct cost benefit. And that will come a long way, because always in the business that I have seen, it's a cash crunch. Every time we are scrambling, how do we get cash from one end, and what are we withdrawing? We're spending more than that. Where is the money left for me? And I think this unit is a unique situation where you have ships coming in, export, import, logistic cost is low, custom excise ease, and you can withdraw what you want to do, what you don't want to withdraw, you can keep it for the next day. Thank you.
Yeah. So one important point here, what Sir mentioned, is basically SEZ. So there are units who may be having, let's say, 30% domestic sales or 70% export, or mix of domestic sales and export sales. And if they are procuring their entire 100% raw material from India, in that case, they can manufacture in SEZ, they can avail all the benefits, and when they are supplying in India, they need not pay the custom duty. But if they are using an imported component into the manufacturing, so at the time of import, they don't need to pay. So suppose if your conversion cycle right from the import of raw material to the finished goods is, let's say, 3 months. And if your yearly turnover is 500 crores, so let's say quarterly turnover is around 125 to 150 crores, and wherein the raw material cost is 50 crores, so what you are doing is you are blocking your working capital for 3 months on 50 crores, if you are not in SEZ. If you are in SEZ, you can produce there. Even if you are selling in India, you would be paying the custom duty if the imported component is there. In the new law, that's the changes which has been made. And that's a differentiation. Earlier, what is happening is, even if the raw material is from India, you need to pay the custom duty on the entire value. But right now, they have differentiated that if the raw material is imported, then only you need to pay the proportionate refund of duty. Otherwise, if it is an Indian raw material, you just need to pay the IGST. Just like you are producing in India, but your plant is with the duty benefit or tax benefit. Your services are also under GST benefit, including your transportation, employee transportation, insurance, except the tea, coffee, refreshment, and life insurance of the employees. Rest, everything is under benefit.
on, all of this is on the SEZ part of it, we have heard all the benefits. I think just to come back on how does a port-led development, right? I think that's a critical aspect, that what does JNPA has that unique USP, which is different from other SEZs, right? And how does a port really help drive efficiency to the units in the SEZ? So it could be in terms of the logistics cost, in terms of the overall, you talked about the intra and the inter-port part of it, and hence the cost aspects part of it, all of it. So how does and the size of the port itself, maybe after that, Mr. Ray also can, how does DP World in JAFSA really sells its, plots, and what from an international example also can throw light, and how does a port really help in this can be helpful, yeah.
Thank you very much. You asked a question which is at the bottom of my heart. Being a port man. See, it's like saying you can have a good unit. If I go in a very simple way and explain, you have a shop, but say I have a shop which is right inside. Now you have a shop on the highway. Do you pay a premium for being on the highway? Because you will do maximum business there. And that's what it happens in the port. Especially in the port, when anybody brings his goods, why does he choose a particular port? He chooses a particular port, his end result is fast logistics and cheapest logistics. Because today, if you were to take a look at that data which has been circulated by MOPS, is our logistic cost is 14%. Can you think about it? If you're making a product of 100 rupees, end product, by the time you add logistics, it becomes 114 rupees, 14% more. It's a huge cost. The China, I was reading, is down to 6%. And I think our government is aiming, how do we bring it down to 8%? I see somebody nodding his head because my figures are right, So, so this is, I keep worrying being from the logistics sector, how do we reduce the cost? And we are operating ferry business. And we know that our customers are looking very minutely, how do they cut the cost, even if the cost is, truck coal is coming from Bhavnagar to Surat, or if the Nirma factory which is there, which is going to make fertilizer, and they want to take the rock phosphate which gets discharged in Hazira port. If they have a ferry going through, they will cut down the logistic cost. They will say, no, my contract is going to be this rupees per ton. You have to take it because you're getting advantage. So with that perspective, Jnpa is at a unique situation and a unique position. It has, if I were to quantify the benefits it has, number one, the number of services you have. Every day ships are coming, So I have an opportunity, that I can ship, if I ship it to JNPT, even if I have to bring the good to, say, Gujarat. So I may prefer not to come to Pipavav, but I would like to come to JNPA because I have a service coming there every week or every third day. So my goods can come. But if I have to come to Pipavav, probably I have a service coming every 25 days. So if I miss one shipment, I have to wait another 25 days to get it. So that's the biggest advantage they have. Number two, goes without saying, Jnpa has the deepest draft, is one of the deepest draft port in India. Number three, which I have to, thank the authorities of Jnpa, MOPA, and under the label leadership of our chairman, Shri Sethi, that the first port in India which has gone on full landlord model. I know there must have been a lot of resistance inside. Being a port person, there would be a lot of resistance, but it takes a lot of guts for put it on the landlord model. It's like, you are trying to privatize things within the government institution. How much of resistance you're going to get? But nonetheless, they went ahead. What happens when you have an intra-port competition is every terminal is trying to outbeat the second terminal because he wants to bring more and more traffic to him. So he has to do three things mandatorily. Number one, improve the efficiency of a port in terms of turnaround of the vessel. If I am doing 56 moves or 35 moves, Hong Kong does 48 moves. So if I am doing 35 moves, how do I go to 56 moves? That is one. Number two, how do I evacuate my cargo faster? And overall, can I reduce the handling cost per container for the end customer? All these things benefit the end importer. And if I am importing my unit, if I say, oh, if I go to say Jnpa, my container handling unit, for example, I'm not really the cost about it, says about $400 or $500. And if I go to, some other port and I'm going to pay $800-900 per container, I will definitely want to come here because I start off with the advantage of $400 advantage per container. So that's one thing. The second thing is all things being within one compound helps me a lot. Hassles are taken off. My container goes from here, remains within the customs area, so I don't have that much of a documentation. And if I don't have that much of a documentation, my fees is less of handling per container. And third thing is, I said that I was talking to Mr. Ranjit from, DP World. He was saying if you put your goods within the warehouse for 2 years, you don't have to pay duty. Just think about it. You're importing something for 2 years, you don't have to pay duty. You can utilize the product and do it. I think that's the way I feel that Jnpa is in a unique situation today to assist the trade, and fortunately, they are blessed with a lot of land. Thank you.
Great. Maybe I can get Mr. Borvankar now from the authorities side. Just conscious of time. Would have, grateful if you can join. Yeah. So I think from your side, we can keep it sharp. Why Jnpa? Why Jnpa SEZ? And we're talking, I think, one aspect is on the ease of doing business, right? I think no better than you who could kind of talk about from an authority as to what is it. Other aspects are more or less got covered. If there are any things which we have left, you may touch upon it as well. But I think from the ease of doing business, if you can kind of elaborate that further for the units to come in, that would be great.
So very nice. I'm very sorry. Oh, sir, please come in.
You are on time. Why Jnpa is we will demonstrate here. JNPA. So I just. So what I was asking is that why Jnpa and what is the real core benefit that Jnpa has got to offer, and also from an ease of doing business, that's one of the core themes that is there. That what does Jnpa got to offer and the SEZ? That's the one where sir was to understand.
As all of you are aware, when we compare for the export, we always compare the advantage offered to Chinese industry by the infrastructure provided by the Chinese company. तो हम लोग ये जब सब सुनते हैं कि चाइना में एवरेज डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द यूनिट विच एक्सपोर्ट इज लेस देन 70 kilometers and maximum is 350 kilometers. A exporting unit is located near to the port. So this makes them very competitive. So as Sagarmala project, it has 5 pillars, and one of the pillar is a port-led development. So Jnpa provides same advantage to the Indian manufacturers and Indian service providers, especially the manufacturers, that it is located just inside the port, not only near the port, it is inside the port, from where you can see the ships which are there, where from you can receive the raw materials, best of the raw materials from all over the world because JNPA is connected to more than 200 ports across the world. All the shipping lines come to JNPA, and so the logistic cost is almost zero there. And once the goods are manufactured, then you can export them. Again, the logistic cost is almost zero. Second, it is a plug and play infrastructure. And the best of the facilities we have provided, and it is located inside, near to the new Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, where you will get the best of the technical staff available. And because we have connected our ports with really all-weather good roads, which are 8 lanes road, so the commuting time is also less. So all these facilities provided by the JNPA makes this SEZ the best SEZ in the country. And another question what you asked regarding the ease of doing business. 2014, the ease of doing business have many other parameters, but one of the most important parameter is the trading across the border, where India used to figure around 153. But JNPA did certain measures, took certain measures in various aspects, like increasing the infrastructure, increasing the capacity, then the digitalization, process simplifications, and now our rank is less than 50. So all these measures taken definitely going to help, because the cost of doing business and time of doing business, these are the key factors which are reflected into cost. So this ease of doing thing help reducing time and cost of industry. So all these, if you take together, then JNPA offers a bouquet of various things, which is very attractive proposition for any businessman. And Surat, Gujarat and Surat, especially Surat, I mean, many businessmen here, they are very innovative, and they are known for their business acumen all over the world. So we are here to just tell them that we are offering you best of the services at our SEZ. So you please come have your unit there so that you take advantage of it. And why we are here? Because 40% of land is already we sold. Now remaining 60% land is there. So first we came to Surat so that the best of the industry, the best of the mind should come to JNPA and take advantage of the infrastructure provided.
Thank you very much, sir. And an additional point to that, we started on saying that the kind of investment that the JNPA is doing outside the port also is a very important aspect, right? And which the SEZ stands to benefit from. Mr. Borunkar was talking about close to about 3,500 crores just on the roads part of it. So it is a growth-oriented port, unlike the general thinking that it is a government part of it and all of it. You continue to keep investing from the money which comes across, and hence there is a lot of growth opportunities which is there. In terms of the external infrastructure is always getting augmented and always be there for the industries to tap it and move ahead. I think that's a very important aspect as far as an industry is going to be there. They would want to be at a location which is growth-oriented and focused towards furthering their business ambitions, and that way JNPA is very well suited to do that. I'll throw open now, sir, with your permission, to the audience for any questions and Q&A, and then be happy to, kind of direct that to the respective people.
Your question is what kind of industries are allowed? All kinds of industries are allowed here because it's a multi-product SEZ. But we will prefer that the manufacturing industry or the warehousing industries, they should come there because it's a port-based SEZ. So service sector industries, especially IT sector and other things, they have other localities because they don't require a particular location. So where the import and export related industries are more sought after. But this SEZ allows all the industries.
Like textile industries. So most of the textile industries are polluting industries. So pollution-based
if specific environmental clearance is required, then that particular industry, but one level of environmental clearance is there. But if a specific environmental clearance is required, that we will let you know on the basis of what kind of environmental clearance is required for particular industry. So case to case basis, we can go about that.
Like in textile processing. So we need water and air pollution clearances. So is it allowed, water pollution and air pollution?
At present, you can answer this question.
See, as our Deputy Chairman has always said that more or less export-import, we are looking into warehousing and manufacturing. As far as especially chemical industry is concerned, we are have got an environment clearance per se for the warehousing. Specific environment clearance to a particular industry, which has to have a special environment clearance because there are the categories of environment clearance. Then we look into that specific request on the expression of interest, and then we see how the other units should not get affected because of this unit. That's the basic thing we see, that as suppose an industry which is working next to your unit is a different industry and he will be getting affected. So we look into all this aspect, we take this thing and we then go ahead as far as this.
It has to be decided case to case basis. Yeah.
I think the clear answer to your question is that when we say red or hazardous, obviously when you say there are problems, just mean that as far as the generic clearance is concerned, that's in place. But as long as your particular unit can get MPCB clearance, because MPCB, which is the local pollution control body, has the responsibility to see that how it is affecting the rest of the. So if they are giving clearance, otherwise there is no such ban. So if you are asking if there is a ban, no, there is no such ban. It is specific to the clearance given by the pollution control. And all these units, especially the textile related units, as far as water is concerned, we have plenty of water. That will not be a problem at all.
Sir, a specific question which I understand, Mr. Arya's specific question. Textile is a water-based industry and water is available, but discharge of wastewater. Do you have such infrastructure available with you for the discharge of wastewater and for the industrial waste that is going to be generated, because you are located in SEZ? So bringing out the waste from there will also be an issue. So I think, Ravindra Bhai, you are asking about the same question. Thank you.
You're right. When we say that a particular IDC, let's say an Industrial Development Corporation, I've worked with, I was the CEO of MIDC before this, so I'm just telling you that specific ETP will have to be done by the specific unit. However, right now we have created enough infrastructure for sewage and effluent treatment. Only when such units will come where there will be a discharge issue accordingly. So the first point is whether there is any ban. No, there is no ban. Second is whether Pollution Control Board has given you a permission. Well, if it has given you the permission, after that, we are making sure that there is enough infrastructure that will take care of you. If there is a specific interest, please let us know so that we can give you the details.
Sir, I am Devdutt from Tata Consulting Engineers. What will be the policy for this net zero for Desh, number one? And number two is the ESG benefits will be passed on to the investor through some mechanism?
I just missed your first line. Can you just reiterate?
The first line is usually the government has defined some policy for green. So in similar line, is there any net zero policy for this also, which has been outlined?
Okay. So there is no such specific, because the policy which is being coming up is having an overriding effect onto various other acts. And first time, if you see the draft of the Desh Act, there are various laws mentioned into it, including right from the Factories Act to environment to forest to pollution to, there are various amendments which are being done through this act. So as of now, this is just a draft act, but we'll have to certainly look into the rules. But with respect to passing on the benefits which are there, it will be in auto benefits which will be passed on. So no need of separate conversion as such.
Now, if you see today, if we can make a framework on ESG, then automatically the investor gets the benefit of it. And that will be an additional attraction in the SEZ.
Right. So basically onto ESG front, what they have done is, as I mentioned, they have amended various policies and act. So if you look at the list of the act, there are around 42 acts which have been amended, which includes environment also, and the corporate social responsibility also. So if something is done within the Desh premises also, will be considered as a part of that. So they are looking at more onto the infrastructure. If you see the presentation, they are looking at the infrastructure development with an holistic development within the zone, rather than purely onto the exports.
Thank you.
Pardon me?
Actually, it's a bid. If you have to give you a bid, then it's an auction. So, but the base rate is approximately 3 crore per acre. This is just indicative price, but then sometimes if there is a more demand, then that price go up in auction. Otherwise, it's approximately that.
I have a question as well. From the presentation, if I am understanding it right, there is no bulk cargo handling, right? And if not, which is the closest port do you expect, like in case if, as Ravindraji asked, if someone is planning to set up a textile mill or a paper mill there, they'll need some coal there. So which should be the closest port in, or does JNP has a plan to come up with a bulk cargo?
No. We don't we don't only allow clean cargo, so coal is not included. The nearest port on the anchor, Mumbai Port Trust anchor, you get coal. So it is in the vicinity. But you have to transport it through trucks. We don't allow on our jetty.
Thank you.
I think let's have this clear that this is a very limited kind of land. This is more like a niche facility. It's not for having those big textile units or something. I mean, it's more like export-related units which could be adding value, you know, I mean, whether in terms of services or manufacturing, but it definitely should not be converted into thinking as there are thousands of hectares of land. No, there aren't, right? So do not imagine big textile units or something. It's more like specific. So let's say apparel making, which is adding value there, you are doing certain things and then bringing it there, that's probably done. But you're talking about coal linkages and everything, that probably may not happen in this SZ. So let's not get it wrong, yeah.
Sir, if you allow, in your absence, we had actually discussed this, and in Mr. Ashish's presentation, he gave a very good, this thing that 5,000 rupees per truck movement is being saved, which is not only cash saving, it is forex outflow saving, it is a carbon footprint reduction. And we were discussing paper mill, because paper mills are, there are a lot of paper mills around in Vapi, and which is very close to your port. So South Gujarat being a manufacturing hub, we will always think on those directions preferably, one. And we would rather request that if you can procure more land, when we are talking about the nation's development in whole, when we are talking about Make in India and growth of the nation, I would rather request that the government should start thinking in those directions. Thank you.
All right, I think we shall respond to this later, yeah. If there are any more questions, let's do that.
That's it. Oh, sorry, you had a question? Yeah, sorry.
Hi, good morning. I'm Mitul Mehta, based out of Baroda. Say I'm importing basically paint machineries, and we are distributing across India. Probably I'm importing from Germany and China. Okay, so the warehousing facility, what was been discussed, probably I believe that if I can get and place of storage within this SEZ, the entire pricing dynamics of my finished products may alter around based upon the incentives what are being displayed in these SEZ schemes. Okay, so how it would be enabling the business dynamics to provide imported goods in India at a lower price?
I mean, at import at lower price.
No, not importing. The selling price in India could be reduced if the import value, see, the storage or the cost of transportation and things,
Yes.
okay, if they are minimized, the way it is being said that saving a cost of 5,000 rupees per truck, okay, probably that benefit can be passed on to the end user. So how this will enable me to strategize my imports? Probably if you can elaborate on that.
And 2, 3, he will respond to you about the other aspect. But one important thing just I want to highlight. You told the thing which we should have told before.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the industry we want to attract there in our SEZ. The people like you. Because who import in a large quantity and then sell it in India. Because this SEZ is basically located in port. So the warehousing is the key. And definitely for import, you are going to save huge money, which you can definitely use to leverage in selling. So definitely that way we can, you can set up your warehousing unit in our SEZ and use that facility for the business plan which you have.
The current time cycles also in bringing in the shipments and at least getting it stored in my premises, okay, from say even from JNPT to say I am based out of Baroda, okay, so the shipment when it is procured at JNPT port, okay, and being transported to Baroda, it almost takes around 7 to 8 days. Okay, and maybe if I miss a shipment, probably it has, during COVID times also, I have found that I had a shipment which was procured in JNPT, but it was unloaded to my premises in Baroda way back after 3 months. So the entire duty portion and my financial dynamics, okay, has changed over in that particular batch of imports.
Yeah, so I think Mr. Ray and yeah, or Ashish can talk about. There's a small caveat of net foreign exchange being positive, probably that's the one catch. Otherwise, everybody will just import and keep it inside. So I think Indians are a bit more agile in doing it, but how will it work can be talked about.
So I just answer your question, sir. So first is what Sharad sir also mentioned, that there is a warehousing facility is there. So warehousing has a different categories also, sir. Whatever kind of warehouse you want, and even the in warehousing you can do packing, labeling, repacking, cutting and bending also. So minor processing is also allowed first of all. So blending is also a part of it which comes into when you are talking about the paint. Second is, sir, as I mentioned, that the net foreign exchange earning requirement is done away with in SEZ. So let's say if you are setting up your blending unit or mixing unit in SEZ, and if you sell your entire products into India. So first scenario you mentioned during the COVID, it took 7 to 8 days normally it takes, and during COVID it took 3 months of time. That's the advantage at Jnpa SEZ because it is at the port itself. And even during any of the congestion or traffic issues, the SEZ will not be affected because it's just at the port itself. Second is, as long as you are keeping your goods into SEZ, in warehouse or in your facility, you need not pay or you need not block your working capital towards your custom duty. Furthermore, even if you are manufacturing into SEZ, in the new policy, you would be allowed to sell in India. If your raw material is imported, then only you need to pay the custom duty. If your raw material is indigenous, then you need to pay just IGST. But the plant construction costs, the facility, the machinery, all those would be under duty benefits, including the routine services. So that way your cost of operation would also be lower by 20% at least, because 18% itself is the GST. And if you are not blocking your working capital towards GST, that's the advantage you can pass on. So one line which is a tagline of Gujarat is that kuch din to आइए गुजरात में गुजारी है, आइए कुछ दिन गुजरात में गुजारी है. So I would say आइए कुछ साल JNPA में गुजारी है. So that's where you can demonstrate.
So apart from that, another one cost we always ignore it and then ending in paying it, that's reverse logistic. That is another cost you must see. We have seen this in our free zones across. That suppose you are importing some consignment and you are paying the duty and taking delivery to your premises to Baroda all the way from JNPT and found it is defective. It happens, maybe 5%, it happens, and defective. And you have already paid the duty. So you have to again go for the whole reversing process with export, shipping bill filing and going back and then putting and go to the original seller and all this cost and time. In case of a free zone or a SEZ, if it's port based, you import that particular consignment, store there, and allow the sender for inspection before taking delivery. It's a very important aspect. And if after inspection is found quality certified, then only pay duty and take it. Otherwise, don't take it and pay duty. Otherwise, you're dutifully blocked. The whole cost of logistic and again reverses to happen. That will not happen when you are storing your consignment in a port-based facility, which we have seen many clients of us. They took delivery and then whole process of reverse logistics too tedious and costly and time. One more aspect to that.
And one more advantage the business will have, that we are connected to all over India with rail network also. So that network you can leverage for the selling your goods. So that is another advantage of JNPA.
We've completely overshot our time. Sorry. Maybe that's the last and final question, please. Yeah.
Last, my question, please.
Okay.
My question is very specific. Can the SEZ allow manufacturing of synthetic resin, which is comes under hazardous zone, and that is red category?
Hello. Yeah, the answer is same, because we have one category of environment clearance. If any industry requires a specific clearance, then we have to take that industry on case-to-case basis, and then you have to apply and we have to support you. So depend on case-to-case basis, we will give answer. So at present, we don't have that clearance.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you all. It was a very interesting discussion and quite a few number of questions come from the audience. And thanks all to all panelists. That's it. We call this a close. Thank you.
Thank you, all the eminent panelists and the moderator, for this wonderful panel discussion on ports and SEZ. Now, may I invite Shri Sanjay Sethi, IAS Chairman, Jnpa, to felicitate the guest speakers.
Will you? Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't have a name or
All the panelists to please be on the dais, please, for the group picture. Yeah, आगे. Thank you all the eminent panelists, Shri Unmesh Sharad Wagh, IRS Deputy Chairman Jnpa, Mr. Vishal S. Budhia, Vice Chairman CII, Southern Gujarat Zonal Council, Managing Director Steamhouse India Limited, Mr. Ranjit Ray, Director NSBPL DB World, Mr. Devendra Manral, Chief Executive Officer and Director Indigo Seaways Private Limited, Mr. Ashish Jagrawat, Consultant JNPA, and Mr. Jagannathan Padmanabhan, Director and Practice Leader, Transport Logistics and Mobility, CRISIL. Moving on, next, may I invite Shri Sanjay Sethi, IAS Chairman JNPA, to deliver the address to the August gathering.
I think, let me start by saying that I really thank all the people, ladies and gentlemen, who came here today to be a part of this initiative that we took. I'm sure both sides should benefit from any exercise like this, so I hope that the potential investors from Surat would benefit from an exercise like this. We've come here to sell this idea of an SEZ which is unique. It's definitely unique because of whatever has been said since morning. I think all the speakers have told you again and again, there's a lot of hard sell, as I was being told. The hard sell is not required for our port because the port happens to be with God's grace doing quite well. The last year has been very, very good for us. We've done 5.68 million TEUs, all kinds of studies telling us that we are the best performing port. It's very heartening that some of these studies that talk about what is the perception of integrity, whether you need to actually bribe in this port, whether you have mafias in this port, whether you have these kind of things. And on those we have scored on top, and there is no other government port in those top 10 or anything. That's very, very heartwarming for us. It requires the whole ecosystem to do that. It is not something which comes from either just the management or just because the locational advantage was there. It requires, believe me, it requires a lot of continual hard work, as they say. It requires a lot of understanding of the nuances. It is not those incidents that happen every day. It is those details of those incidents. It's how we deal with those things, which is about being responsive, being reliable. We take a lot of pride in saying that we should be having the image of being a reliable port. The reliability, when we keep saying that, comes from things like that. If we have told you that it will take 2 days, it should not take more than that. We have a lot of times heard our Honorable Prime Minister talking about two things in this respect: a turnaround time and the logistics cost. On both these things, when we say turnaround time is one indicator, which is telling you how much time are we taking to really unload that. Now, beyond that, we use a term called the dwell time. If you look at all these indicators, just to give you, again, this is National Logistics Bank data. Last year, since the two main container ports are now JNPT and Mundra, so for imports we actually did 19 hours for that particular quarter, but let's say 23.9 hours for the annual thing, while 23.9 while Mundra was doing 32 hours. For exports, when we were doing about 70, they did 132. I'm quoting an independent study. So I'm just saying that we are doing exceptionally well as far as the parameters of efficiency are concerned. So all this ecosystem transfers to this SEZ, so to say. You know, the efficiencies of the port are supposed to be leveraged by this SEZ. But if you were to ask me, and I am told the business acumen of a place like Surat has to be the highest. So if I have to still sell my SEZ, the first and the main point still remains that economics-wise, price-wise, this is still very, very attractive. I was just being told here that the land prices here might be more costly than this. I don't know. I mean, I'm subject to correction on that. But I'm saying what has happened there is that agencies like SIDCO, let's say, which works in that area, are selling land which is almost double of this. The idea of the government of India of having these kind of SEZ where we deliberately are saying, of course, I mean, if the market is higher at that time, in the bid it might go up. I mean, I'm not saying that if I say here a certain price, it will remain that, because in the last few bids, I can only tell you that in some it really went high, in some it was just about what we said here, that what was the base price, because that's how it is. And as I probably would have said before, that we also, as a commercial organization, want to leverage the market as well. I mean, when we say we go to the market, we also want to leverage the market. If we don't want to take out all our plots at one time, we are making trenches of the plots. Right now, we are ready with this list. In fact, we were waiting, somehow this Surat thing probably had got postponed. We were waiting for this to happen so that if there is good response here, accordingly, we go ahead and take out those many plots. Here, the flexibility is on a lot of counts. First is that today also we are having some kind of B2B meetings, or what we call, you could call them G2B, but where if you have specific requirements of plots and you tell us, no, in your plan you are showing 1 acre and 5 acre and 10 acre, but we need a 25 acre. We are fine with that. We are able to carve out those plots. If you say, I just need 2 or 2.5, we are able to carve that out. Depending on your requirements, we are able to, it can be anything from 1 acre to 25 acres or more, but we are in a position to show that flexibility, which should, I think, help you. I think I will not repeat probably what would have been said. Some part I may not have heard because I had to go for another meeting. But in the whole SEZ story in the country, when we say it has been a mixed result, we typically say some of the SEZs either failed or did not have enough response. There is no comparator for this port-based SEZ. This is one of its kind, and definitely till now, whatever we've seen shows rare signs of success. Because the kind of success we've received till now, the kind of responses we've been getting, the last conclave that we had in Mumbai, again, the numbers exceeded our expectations. A lot of them are now really following up with us, where they want this kind of facility, they want this kind of land. This whole area, I don't know how many of you know, but that Navi Mumbai area is going to be the real engine of growth for Maharashtra, for India. Some of this was shown, what Mr. Borvankar was showing you. The new airport coming in, the MTHL connecting, the Navi Mumbai distance coming to just half an hour. This sea link is almost ready now. It is a reality. It's going to be there in 1 year. This is called the Mumbai Trans Harbour Link. It's again a sea link which is almost ready and starts at Sivdi in Mumbai and actually comes to Nhava Sheva. I mean, it actually goes just next to the port. So that kind of leveraging, because right now that area in that sense, even within Mumbai and Maharashtra, you know, people normally wake up when it's already there. But I think it's right there for you to see. It's just about a year or two from now. I think that kind of planning, even for business entities, you know, I suppose 2 to 3 years go sometimes to plan these kind of business investments. So it is for all of you to see that you can make use of that area which is the real engine of growth. The inherent advantages have been talked about. I said all this ecosystem, but one point I would like to again re-emphasize is that the MIDCs there around that place, in that whole Mumbai metropolitan region, makes sure that you will not have a problem with the skilled labor that you need. And there add to that the fact that in the last few years, Maharashtra government worked very hard on the labor laws. I mean, apart from whatever were the issues or problems related to that, according to me, everything is an improvement. When somebody asks, oh, so now everything is fine, I'm saying, well, these are all improvements of what used to be there. So it is a very, very huge improvement of what used to be there. So I think that also is an added benefit. The smart part is that we are creating huge smart infrastructure there, which will ensure your safety, security, which will make you or help you use all the digitized facilities. I mean, all kinds of smart parking, all kinds of CCTV, the kind of command and control, which makes it a very, very state-of-the-art kind of facilities. That is what we are working out on. The two main things I thought within these questions were about red units, or the hazardous units. How are we dealing with them? What could be the scope? And second was that what is the, since I said the facility otherwise right now is rather small compared to what was being said, and then somebody said we should be looking at more land. Well, that's a different story. I mean, we could be. It's not like it's anything which is closed in all respects or anything. But right now it looks like that these kind of units might be more useful for those export guys who probably want to add value, have those specific facilities there. Maybe again, hub and spoke models, do the bigger unit here or elsewhere and do something there. There could be various models. I'm saying I am not averse to giving even 50 acres if you are requiring for something or whatever. But right now I'm saying that's how limited it is, because after that there will be probably not much land. If I'm right now discussing 300-400 acres of land, that is not much of land in that sense for an industrial area, because MIDC, since I just told you I was CEO of MIDC before this, we probably acquired 25,000 hectares within those many years. And I think the land bank, overall land bank is more than 60 to 70,000 hectares, not acres. That's the kind of land. Of course, some of it is in far-flung areas where you don't really want to start units, but then that's the kind of land we have. So on that, I can only say that try to give us specific proposals. Where we can help you, we will definitely help you. The rest can be understood by sitting with the relevant pollution control authorities, whether it's a possibility or not. Some of those kind of proposals in that area might have come up. They can guide you. We can facilitate that. When we have now individual meetings, and otherwise also, you are most welcome to do that. I think I'll not take more time, but it has been a pleasure listening to you, being in Surat, and we welcome you. You should come to to JNPA and invest in JNPA SEZ. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman, for addressing this August gathering. Now, may I invite Mr. Gautam Das, Chief Manager, Finance, JNPA, to deliver the closing remarks.
Good afternoon to all. Our Chairman, Sanjay Sethi sir, and our Deputy Chairman, Anmesh Saraduvag sir, other dignitaries, stakeholders, and friends. I have been entrusted with the role of delivering closing remarks of JNPA SAGE Conclave at Surat. While I am conclude the conclave, I would like to believe that we are on the verge of a new start. We have witnessed the intriguing insight from the esteemed speakers, and I am sure that their words have offered a novel perspective. I am sure that these discussions have presented a holistic overview of the unique prosperities and offered by the JNPT SAGE. While we are amid the Amrit Kal of our independence, we need to leverage the opportunities to transform our Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, augmenting our position in the global logistics ecosystem by participating in the port-based development story is one of the many requisites for making our beloved country Vishwa Guru again. As highlighted by the esteemed panelists, during the conclave, we have the potential to emerge as a manufacturing hub in our SEZ. We further need to streamline our inherent strength and strives towards reducing our capex and the OPEX for creating a nice position of our offering in the international market. Government of India is synergized with the various stakeholders, has launched a series of initiatives that intend to bring down the logistic cost and thus enable to the Indian industries. JNPA SAGE has been set up to forge a strategic linkage between the industry and state-of-art infrastructure, which is aligned with the objective of using the port-led infrastructures. Nestled next to the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority, JNPA SAGE is the Indian first port-based and port-led facility. It is one of a kind of 277 hectares multi-product SAGE that aims to generate additional economic activity, promote export, investment, and to create employment. At JNPA SAGE, we offer the flexibility to the businessman on the customization. We are empathetic to the need of the large industries as well as MSMEs. We are committed to offering ease of doing business and hence provide the facility ranging from single window clearance to the multi-model connectivity and ready-made latest infrastructure to the established business and boost export-oriented competitiveness of Indian industries. To further incentivize the investors, we also offering the liberal economic laws and subsidized rate of water and electricity. Friends who consider you as our partner or stakeholder in the quest of the augmentation, the position of India in the global trade and the commerce, we urge you to give the serious consideration to the possibility of the setting your base in the JNPA SAGE and availing the futuristics and inclusive the proposition. We have come to Surat to strike up a conversation with you We would like to understand your requirement and shall be more than happy to clarify your doubt and any issue from your sides. We are available for one-to-one interaction with you after the conclave, and you may kindly contact CI Secretary available in the registration desk for B2B interaction. Before we bid about, we cordially invite you to visit the Jnpa SAGE in person to witness our offering. Our officials shall be happy to offer you as dedicated tour of ACZ, which will help you have a clear idea about the benefit of investing in the growth-oriented facilities. On behalf of JNPT and JNPA SAGE, I take this opportunity to thank the esteemed panelists, speakers, representatives from the industry, and delegates, and office bearer of the CII attending the conclave. I also thank members of the press and electronic media for their kind presence. We look forward to and count on your support in giving wide publicity to the JNPT SAGE Investor Conclave Surat and their deliberation. We believe that this initiative has added value to you and your business, and look forward to welcome you all at the JNPT SAGE. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude the JNPT SAGE Investor Conclave 2022 Surat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Das, for delivering the concluding remarks. Now, may I invite the Chairman, Deputy Chairman, JNPA SEC team, and all the eminent speakers and the moderator on the dais for a group picture. Can we have all the speakers, moderator, the chairman and the deputy chairman for a group picture, please? There is a small announcement. The people who are interested for the B2G meeting with the JNPA senior officials can book their meeting slots at the registration desk right outside the meeting hall. And I'll request everyone to proceed for the lunch. A small request to all the panelists and the moderator to please come on the dais. We have the deputy chairman with us for the group picture. I request all the speakers to come on the dais. I request the JNPA SEC team and the speakers to join us on the dais for the group picture.
दुल्हन किधर है?